Well, my friends, the spooky season is upon us, full of unholy creatures that stalk the night. So how about we channel our inner Simon Belmont and ask, can you beat Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin with only the old whip? Rules of the run. I am only allowed to attack with the old whip. No using summon signs, however, other kinds of assistance that don't require summon signs are perfectly allowed. I will be tempting all bosses. I've banned power stancing. And no glitches and exploits. Now on paper, the old whip seems like a decently powerful weapon, but that's exactly its problem. It's paper. Well, to be exact, it has a very low durability that drains more against armoured foes. Last time I checked, 90% of the enemies in Souls games have armour of some kind, so we're going to be fighting an uphill battle. After inventing a new extreme sport, we're given free reign to create our character. The old whip happens to be a dex-based weapon, so we're going to take the swordsman, and for our gift we take the petrified something. Why, you ask? Well, to trade it the crows in exchange for a wet paper tissue. I mean the old whip. Now, despite having our weapon this early, we can't actually use it yet. It requires 20 dexterity, but I have a plan to deal with that. We do a brief collection run of a few useful items, and then make our way towards Hade's Tower of Flame, where somebody apparently has put oil all over the floor as the Dragon Rider conveniently slips to his death. Okay, real talk here, we need souls to start this run. And this is one of, if not the only ways to get enough. We have to fight him later on anyways, so let's just look past this one, okay? With that, we can finally wield our weapon and— oh god! That durability drain is far worse than I expected. Looks like we're getting 6 hits before it breaks. At least the damage is good. Good enough to slay a giant, though? So close. Well, the last giant happens to be the literal easiest boss of the game, so beating him with a broken whip is child's play. But it certainly does not bode well for the future. It goes without saying, but we're going to be mainly focusing on the bosses from here on out, as the majority of areas amount to be running away to conserve durability. Buying some items from Valentia, we get a Fragrant Branch and the Silver Serpent Ring. Something tells me souls are going to be a big issue this time around. Well, time for my backup plan already. We're using our branch to unpetrify the statues on the way to the Shaded Woods. Here, there's a few upgrade materials, a helpful ring or two, but most importantly behind this statue is the repair sorcery. We don't have the int to use it yet, but it will be vital early game. To get ourselves the souls we need, I fought the Pursuer. Despite being an armoured foe, we're doing enough damage to get by at the cost of one of our only repair powders early on. But with this defeat, we get the Ring of Blades, a handy damage boost. Duffy the Vampire Slayer here helps us upgrade to +2, which should be enough to take on Flexile Sentry. Oh yeah, now that's good damage. It does cost us another repair powder, but with that we can actually use repair. Unfortunately, we only get 2 casts, but hey, that doubles our durability overall. On our way through the Lost Bastille, we grab another lifeline, the Bracing Knuckle Ring. It slows item degradation, which for this run means we're putting this thing on and never taking it off. Given how many souls we're going to need in the long run, I also stopped off for some fashion. Hey, don't judge me. Huntsman's Corpse is home to the Skeleton Rolls. Wait, what? I was not expecting to do that much damage. Well, I'm not going to complain. This fight is more or less about controlling hordes of enemies. A bad thing when you have very limited durability. I need to catch as many enemies in each hit as I possibly can. And even then, I barely have enough durability to make it through. Covetous Demon here is usually a joke, but for some reason he's counted as armoured? Not realizing this, I ended up breaking my whip on him and getting smashed. You know, maybe I should keep track of how many times this whip broke. Comment down below how many times you think it was. Well, one repair layer, and Corvidus goes down. Up next is Mifa, but I'm gonna be honest, she's rarely ever an issue. As long as you disable her healing via the windmill, she goes down in no time at all. I'm not quite ready for Iron Keep yet though, so let's go down to the Grave of Saints to do some pest control. Black Gulch is an area of note, as we can collect a key from these giants in order to open this door and find the Sunken Crown DLC key. The rotten here is rather slow and clunky, meaning so long as we have decent ADP, this is an easy fight. Oh hey, no damage! Well, here we are, DLC 1. We're not here to fight any bosses just yet, but instead we're here to grab Flynn's ring, which surprisingly is possible without a bow or throwing knives. Other YouTubers had me convinced that those were needed, but apparently not. Well, our damage keeps on getting better. Back in the main game, and it's time for Scorpioness Nashka. Her attack patterns are pretty simple, so we shouldn't have too much of an issue, right? Wrong. Our whip broke again. This time it didn't even give me the at risk, it just broke. Well, round 2, and I'm a bit more cautious of our durability. We're getting to the point now where 2 cast repair is barely cutting it though. Now that we've beaten the area though, I can use Bonfire Aesthetic to reset the area and get the last Twinkling Titanite I need for +4. We're getting close to max upgrades already. One joke boss later, and we find ourselves in Spider Hell. Duke's Dear Freya here is mostly predictable, but tragedy struck. See, Freya's heads can detach, and it just so happened to do so on the last hit I would have needed to win, leading to my whip breaking. Fun. It's around now that I remembered about some more Twinkling Titanite, so I briefly paused my exploration of Arachnophobia Avenue to go and max out my damage. I kinda ended up getting distracted here and forgot that I hadn't beaten Freya, so Iron Keep it is. Smelter Demon isn't bad. The run up to him is literal hell, but once the enemies stop spawning, yeah, the Demon of Hellfire drops to a wet tissue paper. Well, say hi to Pursuer. He's not sticking around for long. We're just here to grab the Ring of Blades +1. Probably the last major damage upgrade we're gonna get. Old Iron King here is another slow lumbering boss. Adding the fact that he literally can't touch you in certain areas, and it's a slow but mostly safe fight. It's around now that I remembered that Freya was a thing, so one squished Spooder. Last up in this section is the Lost Sinner. Well, if you can see them, that is. It's a relatively short fight, all things considered, as it has a relatively small HP bar. But we haven't really hit the hard fights yet. With 4 Lord Souls obtained, we can enter Dranklake Castle and meet the saviour of this run, Chancellor Weller. He has an upgrade for our bracing ring, but most importantly he sells repair powders. It's not cheap, in fact it's 2,500 souls a pop, but we can carry 99 of them, meaning so long as I'm vigilant, we should never break our weapon that easily. But now though we can't afford that much, so I just bought as much as my pockets would allow. On our way through the castle we picked up the Ivory King DLC key and we meet an old friend. Sup Dragon Rider, no pits this time, only you, me, you, my whip. Wait, why are there 2 of you? Oh well, it's not like that makes it any harder. Mirror Knight buddy, were you always this squishy? In all seriousness, I didn't expect the damage of this whip to be carrying us this far into the run. And given how well telegraphed a lot of Dark Souls 2 bosses are, this has been relatively easy so far. Yep, nothing could dampen my mood. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, never change Dark Souls. Never change. Demon of Song is pretty much just another long drawn out fight. He's only hittable about half the time. But when we can hit him, we hit him hard. It's only a matter of time until his health bar is absolutely shredded. I took a brief detour to deal with Ornstein 2.0. How on earth did I forget about you until now? Then I made one final upgrade to my bracing ring. Well, it's not quite wet tissue paper anymore, but still a small breeze can break it. Now anyone want to provide a challenge? Belstad! No. Guardian Dragon? Still no. Okay, how about a DLC boss? Ooh, Elena! Okay, seriously, come on! I knew this whip was gonna be powerful, but this is just getting ridiculous! You're scaring the bacon! Let's just clean up some of the optional bosses for now. Given that the DLC bosses are dropping this easily, they probably pose little to no threat. Pull the lever, Kronk! Wrong lever! Ruin Sentinels. Yeah, not gonna lie, I can play as sloppy as I want here and still win. Belfry Gargoyles. Surprisingly weak whenever I can get a hit in, and the numbers don't exactly give them much of an advantage. Royal Rat Authority. Well, as long as you don't get toxic in the beginning of the fight, then it's ridiculously easy. It's just a slowed down version of Sif's moveset from Dark Souls 1. Bad puppy! Giant Lord, you want to give me a hard time? No? Why am I even surprised at this point? I've come to realize that this weapon was really, really good. Like, we're shredding endgame bosses now. Perhaps Alana was a fluke? Okay, now that's more like it. Sin here is dishing out the damage and taking damage like a champ. And it's all too easy to get complacent and break my whip, which is a guaranteed loss. I spent a solid hour getting my ass thoroughly beat. It was refreshing, but little by little I got further and further, until eventually, victory achieved. Honestly, the first time this run that I felt true joy after a boss. Hopefully the next can continue that. Let me check my notes. Oh, it's the gang squad. 3 human enemies in 1 encounter and exactly 0 challenge. Just take out the ranged one first and leave Havel till last since he's really easy to kite. Well, that's 1 DLC down. Time for the Nightmare Before Christmas. Ava here is actually quite the rewarding fight, if a bit easy. But we're starting to see bosses that can give mix-ups in their timings, which means we have to stay on our toes to get hits in where we can. It's a relatively long fight, but by the end I tame the tiger. Wonder if I can make it do tricks. Well, I hope you guys can see something, because I certainly can't. This hellscape full of mad reindeers is probably the most frustrating area in any FromSoft game. It's a wide open field with a few landmarks that you can barely see 99% of the time. Hope you like getting surprised out of nowhere and having to restart. It's gonna happen a lot. By the time you get through here, your patience is gonna be lower than this weapon's durability. Well, we finally made it the boss fog and... Oh, are you kidding me? So anyways, we made our way back the second time, and it's a reskin. Ava 2.0 here fights exactly the same as the first, just halfway through a second joins in. Well, bugger. After a long struggle, we reduced the fight to a 1v1 again, and at which point we need to start being a bit more careful. The last few hits here become very awkward as the boss gains a sudden massive life regen, one that we can barely overcome in damage. But a few more cracks later and we have 2 new performers and a Las Vegas act in the making. I'm going to hell for that one, aren't I? Why yes I am. What do you mean it's not hell? It's full of fire, brimstone, and I'm forced into team exercises. It couldn't be anything less than hell. The Burnt Ivory King here wasn't exactly much of a challenge, though I'd chalk that more up to the assisting Froggy Knight. But then again, his attack pattern is very simple to dodge, so even if I'm on my own, it doesn't take long to take the crown. I guess that makes me the King of Hell. Well, time for some remodeling. Out with the fire, in with the ash. Fume Knight, buddy! Please tell me your defenses are higher. Ugh. Well, given how high our damage still is, we just need to focus on damage and get chips in where we can. It wasn't the cleanest of fights, but it didn't take too long either. Well, there's one last chance for a decent fight, but first, fashion. We do the good old Ancient Dragon Shuffle, and then we easily remove Vendrick. Did you guys know this whip does bonus damage versus hollows? Yeah, he's extra dead. All of this to get the powered up crowns. Ooh yeah, I look fabulous. Sir Alon, my last hope. Well, colour me surprised, he can tank us better than expected. Add in how few chances there are to actually attack and it looks like this is going to be fun. It takes me a while to remember his moveset fully, and his grab is still jank as hell. But slowly but surely, we chip away at his health bar. Every death, we get better. Every grab, we get smarter. It's a beautiful dance of death. But by the end, I am the true master. Only one more DLC boss is remaining. It's the Blue Smelter Demon. Just for reference, it is just a scaled up version of the Smelter Demon we fought earlier, so I kind of forgot it even existed. Hey, first try. Speaking of forgettable, Dark Lurker. Well, the first half of this fight is ridiculously easy. All of his attacks are really predictable. But double them, and then we have an issue. The important thing is keeping both on screen the best you can, otherwise you'll be sniped from across the arena. But manage to keep them close enough together and they go down with relative ease. Let's finish this up, shall we? Watcher and Defender are taking the highest damage we've seen yet. Just focus on Defender and you'll have more than enough time to take out Watcher with ease. What's a good Castlevania without a fight against death? Big Scythe? Check. Skeleton? Check. Ability to drain life force? Check. Entirely too easy? Also check. All that leaves is Aldia. This fight is boring. It's a lot of waiting around to be able to attack him in the very small periods you get to do so. There is so little challenge here that I intentionally let my whip break halfway through and still found it ridiculously easy. With that, we win. Well, that was a disappointment. For how bad people made this weapon out to be, it's got some absurdly high damage to compensate. But then again, Dark Souls 2 tends to be the easiest game for me personally, so I can't say I'm all that surprised at how it turned out. This run has made me wonder though how bad a broken weapon only run would be. Speaking of broken though, just how many times did this weapon break? 23 times? Colour me surprised. I guess we really are keeping old Duffy in business, aren't we? But enough of our vacation in Drang Lake. Next time we meet, I think it's time to go a bit closer to home. The beautiful, scenic Galar region. See you guys there.